Hi folks, Nathan here. In this Arkenforge Map Building tutorial, we're going to be building a small spaceship map using the Sci Fi Essentials and the Arkencore packs. So the first thing we need to do is create our new map. So we're going to head to a new map up in the top corner here. Let's just call it Spaceship. And for our map background texture, we're going to set that as none. And we're going to keep the background color as default. All the other settings we're going to keep the same. So let's hit create map. Alright, the first thing we need to do, or at least the first thing I like to do, is to build out the structure of the ship. So for that, we're going to go to Arkenforge, Space, Lines, and Walls. And you can see we have a good number of options here. Let's make it sort of an older style ship, so we'll use the steel panel wall. And yeah, that looks like a pretty good wall to me. So let's start with just our hull. So I'm going to hold down Control to snap to grid, and under placement types I'm going to click on add corners just so they line up nicely. So now let's draw out our area. This one doesn't need to be too big. Let's just go, say 8 by 5 seems pretty good to me. And then for our hull, let's just do something like this. And this, and this. Alright, we'll put in a wall to separate the cockpit, and we'll put in, let's say, a little bathroom back here. Let's put it there. And then we'll have our engine area in the back here. Now we're just sort of sketching out the rough design of our ship, and we'll build on that as we go. So now that we have all of our walls set, we're going to put in our tiles. Actually, before we do that, let's finalize our walls just so that we have our shape exactly. So what I want to do here is have a bit of a corner to my cockpit, and we just want to line these walls up. So they'll have just a little bit of a curve to them, but nothing too extreme. There we go. Gonna have these just snap to grid here. It's not too shabby. Bring these in a bit. Alright, the rest of it all looks quite good, I think. So let's put in some tiles. Under the space category, we're going to go to textures and spaceship tiles. Once again, we have a good few number of options. I think we're going to try out the white hex tiles. That looks quite good to me. So we're going to do tile and tile polygon. And we're just going to hold down Control and snap this to our grid here. Release Control and just click on some points around there. And we can see that placed on the object layer, so we're just gonna go here to layering options, move it to the terrain layer, and now that's sitting below everything, and that's a nice simple terrain for our ship there. So next up we want our doors, because we need to be able to get through these walls. So for our cockpit, I reckon we split it here, so we're just gonna select our wall, right click and go split line here. See, we've got quite a few points here because it was a slightly curved wall, so I'm just going to remove the ones that we don't need and chuck that there. Same with this one. Wonderful. So if you curve a line, you will get 51 points along the entire line, so just keep that in mind if you are doing any line splitting. And for our bathroom, we're just going to have our wall go halfways here. We don't need to split it. And for our engine room, I think we just split it here. Looks good to me. And then to actually get into the ship, would we do a left or a right? Let's go for the left, I would say. So we'll split it here. And go there. Okay. Our next job is to put some doors in, so we're going to go to Space and Objects, down to our doors, which is it under Furniture? Oh, do we have doors in here? Alright, we're going to use some cyberpunk doors in that case. So we're just going to go to cyberpunk and doors. So all of these are part of the Sci Fi Essentials pack. You do have space, cyberpunk, and post-apocalyptic assets. So you will have all of these folders available. Just use this metal door maybe. Use this one, it's got a bit more of a heft to it. So we're just going to chuck a door there. We're going to hit Control D to duplicate it. And we're going to move that one down here. We're going to Control D again and rotate this one by 90 degrees. Put it there, and we will flip that so that it faces the correct way. Because this is the door we'd want to open from the outside, I would wager. And we'll just shrink it down a little bit so that it fits in that gap. These ones we're not going to worry about too much if they overlap a little. So it looks good. And then for our main door here, I think we go for this sliding glass door. It doesn't look too bad, but I think we could do something better. Let's have a look here. Do we have any good post-apocalyptic doors that might fit? Yeah. This mechanical door, I think, is quite good. I think that fits quite nicely, and we'll just scale that up so that it fits in our gap there. Fantastic. So we have the bones of our ship, we have our cockpit, our bathroom, our engine, and our sort of functional space, which we can fit with whatever we like. I like to, once I get these three other rooms done, make a bunch of variations of the functional space. So you could have, say, a recon ship, a transport ship, a gun ship, etc. So we'll see what we end up with in this one. But first of all, what we're going to do is start with the cockpit. So with this, we're going to go back to Space and Objects, and Computers and Control Panels. We're going to find one that looks like a good spaceship one, I think. As we're going for that older style ship, I think this old control panel looks quite good. And we'll just scale that up a little bit there. Nice. Now we just need a chair of some kind, which will be under pilot seats. We'll chuck our chair down and just rotate that into place. I think scale it down just a little bit. And if we like, we can move that to the bottom so that it sits underneath this bit of the computer. So with that, I think we also put in a window here just so we can actually see out. So for this, we're going to go to Cyberpunk Lines and Thin Walls. I believe we have a glass wall. Yes. And we're going to just place it across there. Select it and angle it up so we can see that there is glass. We'll go customize line, and I reckon we just increase the width a little bit. Let's go to 0.2. That looks quite good. So there, that's very clearly a window to the cockpit. Actually, we'll make it full size. What size is this one? 0.5 maybe? Too much. 0.35 I think it was, yes. Alright. Just adjust that slightly. Actually, if we go say 0.32, 0.3 even, I think that's better. It gives us a little bit of metal on either side, just so it looks like it's secured. There we have it. Alright, next up is the bathroom. So we're going to go to Map Building Assets, leave in Objects, Bathroom. Under the Cyberpunk category, we have our toilet, which we will chuck down here. We have a sink. We'll use this one, I think. So this one's just going to be a short-range vessel, so we're not going to bother with a shower or anything like that. We'll chuck in some toilet paper, I think is probably a good idea. Let's put that up against the wall and shrink it down a little. There we go. And is there anything else you want to put in? Maybe we'll chuck in a mirror just for funsies. Alright. So there we have that. That's all good. Okay. Our engines. So for this we need the space, object, and engines section. We have a few options available here. We're going to go with this booster, I think. We can see it's got a shake applied to it already. So I'll keep that on just for now. So we have two options we can do here. The first is having the engine partially inside the wall here, so that the inside can be accessed by your PCs if repairs need to be made. Or we can put it on the terrain layer. We go here, move it to the bottom, and we have it underneath the ship so that it's not physically accessible to your players and it's more of a theater of the mind thing if they need to get to it. For this one though, because we have the room available, I am going to put it on the map itself. We're going to put it on the object layer, but we're going to move it to the bottom so that it goes through the wall. And we're going to put two of these in, I think, so that we have a dual engine craft. Right there, that's nice and symmetrical. And we're going to put in some exhaust fire as well. We'll go for the jet engine one. I'll just place both of those, move them underneath so that they're coming out of the engine, and I think we'll scale it up a bit. So if we hit shift, or hold shift I should say, as we scale, it's going to scale on the spot. And that gives us some really nice engine effects there. Very nice. Yeah, I think just to give enough space in this room, we're going to move them down so we've got a full square available there. And I also like to chuck in just a small control panel, just so that they can get some diagnostics or something like that if they'd like them. Right, and now we do our middle area. So for this, I'm thinking we make it more of a transport vessel, maybe with a little bit of cargo. So for this one, we're going to head back up to Cyberpunk, go to our furniture and our chairs. I think it is seating in this one. Right, I'm going to do this purple sofa because that looks like some bench seats. We'll put that along here. One there, one there. If we shrink it down just... Do we want to make it bigger? No, it's a bit too big. Right, I think we do one of these per square. Actually, let's just do the one, but we're going to stretch it along this axis. So it looks a little bit odd like that. We'll do two of them just so it's not too big of a stretch. There we go, and then I think we do one of these here. So there's our transport. We'll have a bench here and a bench here as well. Bring you down a bit. Alright, what do we think of that? I think we want to have this area as cargo, so what we'll do is we'll move this out. It's going to be a bit of a tight squeeze because we can't have fun under capitalism. Delete that one. Is that too absurd of a width? I think that's fine. So we have a sort of seating area. No, we'll just do this. So we have room for people to sit if we would like it. And over here we'll have our cargo. So we're going to go to Cyberpunk, and under the lines category we want road signs. And we're going to use the road line warning, hold down control and just drag it along here. So this is where our cargo is going to go. And then we head back down to space and objects, boxes, barrels, and crates. And we're just going to select a few of these, and we're going to hold down our shift key and just place a few boxes around. They're going to get randomized and their color and rotation and whatnot will change, but I think that's quite good. Now we have a little bit of a logistical problem because obviously this seat's in the way for getting cargo in and out. So how do we address that is the question. Let's do instead then one of these here. Alright, so this will be transport in that case, but mostly for cargo with the option of doing passengers. So we have our cockpit area, our passenger area, our cargo area, bathroom, and our engines. So from here you can fill out any other sections you'd like. So you might want to put some things in the cockpit to sort of personalize it for your captain. You might want to throw some tools in the engine room here, for example, or you might want to completely change the rest of this area. I'll leave that up to you. The last thing that we want to do is put down a space background for our ship so that we're not just flying through a sort of amorphous grey blob. So for this, we're going to go down one map level. So we're going to click on the widget drop down here, and on map level, go down one. If you don't have this available, you can click on widget settings to activate it. And now that we're down one level, we want to place some space textures. So under the space category, we're going to go to textures and space, and we're going to place down two textures here. The first is galaxy. So we're just going to click and drag a nice big area here. And with this one, we're going to set the texture scale a bit higher just because it repeats quite clearly now. So we're going to select it and go to customize tile. Bring the texture scale down, so I think about 2 looks quite good. It doesn't have too much repetition in it. And we're going to go to effects, add new effect, and tile scroll. We're going to set the direction to 180, just so it's going down. And we'll bring the speed up to, I think 2 looks quite good. And then we're going to do the same for the next one. So we're going to go to, once again, space, and we're going to place the space texture down. So we're going to click and drag that over the previous tile. We're going to select it. Once again, set the tile texture scale down. And what we're going to do is enable tile noise. So with that, you can see if I bring the scale down, it'll be a bit clearer. As I change the noise addition here, it's going to sort of fade in and out, and you'll notice that some parts of the image are clearer than others. So that there is a good example of how the pattern looks. So for this we want a nice background there. I think that looks quite good. And then we're also going to go to customize effects, and we're going to set a tile scroll on that as well with the same properties. So we want you to be 180 with a speed of 2. And so now, especially with this scrolling, we're not getting that repetition effect that we had before. So the tile doesn't look like it's repeating too much. And now when I go back up one map level, we can see that we are now flying through space. And I can then export this out to my VTT of choice, or I can just play on it live in the toolkit. So that's all for this map building video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.